What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, cats and dogs? You are listening to another episode of the Hardcore Geek Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the wacky world of professional wrestling. So we're about to call this Hardcore Geek Wrestling, and joining me today is a man who knows this industry oh so well, excellence personified, Brian Carson. What's going on, bro?
Same old. It's never dull in the world of professional wrestling, my friend. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. So, let me push the buttons to make all these noises stop here. Yeah, sound effects. It's all a bunch of fun stuff. So, last time you were here, obviously, okay, fans of the Hardcore Geek Podcast, you know we previously had another show called Rebellion Wrestling Radio. We are combining it just like think Voltron, think Megazord, think Transformers. We are combining it to a super awesome podcast. So, obviously we made the announcement last week. Every episode we're going to get a pro wrestling segment, but today we're just going to talk all pro wrestling. I mean, you got to do that.
There's nothing better than that.
And of course, right now it's WrestleMania season.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you can't not talk professional wrestling when it's WrestleMania season. But before we get into anything here, I want to thank everybody for listening, all your downloads, all your subscriptions. Go ahead and check us out at hardcoregeekcast.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter at HCGeekcast, also on the Instagram, and we're going to be doing some stuff on the YouTube. I know we have YouTube. We do some gaming stuff on there, but Joe Dub's going to be on there. He is doing his Funko Pop hunts like every other day. We already posted some pictures of his epic collection. Like this dude, my co-host, has like a wall of Funko Pops. It's amazing.
Johnny and Candace are very big into the Funko Pop too.
Exactly.
So I know all about those little things.
So yeah, well, we're gonna be putting some more stuff on there, and then guys, especially leading up to WrestleMania, be sure to tune in like multiple times a week. Check out the website. And just, because we're going to have some WrestleMania specials. We're going to have a WrestleMania show the day of Mania. It's going to be absolute madness because everybody's going to be here.
I think you and 1,000 other people are going to have
a
show the day of WrestleMania.
So choose. It's going to be a lot of us. It's going to be every single show.
You can find your fill of WrestleMania on that day, believe me.
It's safe to say that, like I think when I first did the podcast, I was talking to John Thorne. And John and I, we go back, we've known each other for the last 12, 15 years, right? So I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to do this wrestling podcast. And his first thing was like, he's like, yeah, you and like 50 million other people are going to do a wrestling podcast.
Hey, they just started a podcast. So
they did.
Yeah.
I know. And I'm like, so don't tell me about
Everyone in professional wrestling has a podcast now. Bruce Pritchard, the King has one now. So
Edge and Christian are getting one, apparently.
Edge and Christian have one, too, yeah.
So, yeah, there's that. So... yeah, so I guess you have your pick of the litter, but I mean, if you want to love us a long time, definitely go to hardcoregeekcast.com.
Subscribe right now. What are you doing? Subscribe.
Yeah, that's right. So we have a live chat going on. I'm terrible at the live chat, so people will sit there and I will not respond, so I apologize. But if you want to join, I will try my best. It's at Spreaker.com/show/hardcoregeek. You can ask us questions, ask Brian questions, and hopefully I'm
an open book, people. Ask me whatever you want.
So last time you were on the show, let's do a quick recap because maybe some people who didn't listen to the wrestling show, maybe just listen to our show right here, may not know who you are, may not know too much about you. We are in the Cleveland area. You are a professional wrestler. You are a passionate professional wrestler.
You could say that.
Yeah. So like what was I know we kind of rehashed this before, but what's the thing got you into it?
I get to ask this question a lot because everyone wants to know, what made you decide to be a wrestler? And I've told this story a million times. When I was 3 years old, I watched Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 1991, and instantly I knew right then and there I wanted to be a professional wrestler. Like every other professional wrestler, I went through the hard times, baby, as Dusty would have said. And it's been a long, strenuous journey, but it's I tell you what, all the hard hours, all the missing work or having to work extra hours and injuries and missing time away from your family and traveling for no money, it's paid off. I've gotten to wrestle a lot of big names. I've gotten to wrestle Shane Douglas this past June. I got to wrestle, be in the ring with Eddie Kingston. I've gotten to be in the ring with Candice LeRae, my trainer. I had a match with Johnny Gargano, who's a former NXT Tag Team Champion and my trainer. So it's gotten to pay off in a lot of ways. And like a lot of the other AIW students, like Alex Daniels has taken off his career. I've gotten to be in the ring with him. Dominic Guarini, Dr. Dan, Kaplan, my buddy who I've been training with. So it's just, again, like there's a lot of sacrifice, but it's been paying off for me lately.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've myself, I had a pleasure of seeing you perform, many a times. And here's the thing: I've seen it on the flip side. Okay, I've seen it. Let me ask you this, because I don't think I've asked you this before. Do you prefer working face or working heel?
I prefer working heel.
Everybody I talk to says working heel. Is it just because it's more fun? It's It's
more fun. Like for me personally, it just fits better because, contrary to popular belief, I'm not who I am in the ring. I'm a very nice guy if you get to know me. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've been acting my whole life too. And the roles that I loved playing in high school and college and community theater, whatever, were roles that were completely opposite of who I was. A perfect example I tell people all the time is the character of Archie Bunker from All in the Family. Carroll O'Connor was a bleeding heart liberal. He was the complete opposite of who Archie Bunker, the character, was. And so he just would think of someone who he could not stand, and that's who he portrayed on screen. And then when I come out as a heel, attacking Britt Baker from behind or, telling some fan to go screw himself or something. That's not me in real life. I'll talk to you after a show. I will talk movies. I'll talk sports. I'll talk whatever. But when Brian Carson comes through the curtain, Brian Carson doesn't like you too much.
That's awesome. So let's get into what's happening now. Now, the last time I saw you was a few months ago. Last time I saw you in the ring was a few months ago. You are the reigning and defending UXWA heavyweight champion.
Yes, I am.
You have a title defense this Friday, or not this
Saturday.
Friday, this Saturday coming up
The
here.
18th.
Against the Duke.
Yeah, that Duke.
He's been a thorn in your side. Now, he's like, okay, so...
Can't let me have that spotlight, man. He's just got to always take it from me. That's that damn Duke, man.
So, you guys have been kind of going back and forth for a while, okay? And is it, Duke is definitely a veteran, and you've gotten to work with, you talk about it, Eddie Kingston, you've worked with Shane Douglas, you've worked with guys that have come in and out of the Cleveland area, you worked with Duke. You also had some opportunities, to work with some people out of your training class and some, younger up-and-coming talent.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, or is it kind of do you learn something from? I assume you got to learn something different from every person you're in the ring with.
You take away Candace instilled this in us very early on in our training, is that she put it this way: she's been wrestling close to 16, 17 years, and she still learns something every time she gets in the ring. So, and I try to take away something. When Dr. Dan and myself wrestled Crime Time this past November, it was a last minute thing. I remember Thorne texted us one night and said, "Hey, you guys are wrestling Crime Time tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, okay." We weren't even supposed to be. We weren't even supposed to be in the tournament, and then the Devastation Corporation had to cancel. I think because one of them was injured. That could have been it. So yeah, Thorne got a hold of us and said, "Bring your gear tomorrow. You're wrestling Crime Time." And it's just whoa, okay. I get to wrestle former WWE Tag Team Champions, so that's an experience. But yeah, just when we getting to talk to those guys and picking their brain and then being in the that's another surreal thing about wrestling. I remember when I first tagged out to Dr. Dan and I went to the apron during the match, I'm sitting here thinking to myself going, I'm wrestling frickin' Crime Time right now. Yeah. I remember going to Unforgiven 2008 and they were the opening match against Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase.
Oh my God, I
and
forgot
now you
about
see
that.
And now you see all the stuff that Cody Rhodes is doing and Ted DiBiase. I was a fan of Ted DiBiase when he was with WWE and I just remember watching these guys with Cena with Orton in the ring, and it's just man, this is the stuff about wrestling that I love. So, do I prefer to work with veterans? Yeah, because I'm probably going to learn more, but I don't mind wrestling guys that have the same experience of me or even less experience than me.
Have you gotten to that point where, if you're working with somebody who is maybe still learning the ropes, or maybe somebody who's maybe had a few matches under their belt, have you gotten to that point where they're coming to you for advice? Did you watch my match out there? What do you think I could do differently? What do you think I should do next time?
Yeah, especially with Mega has a lot of students too. And I've gotten to work with a lot of them, and a lot of them, even if I'm not working with them, will come up to they come up to all of us, but they come up to me, Dom, Dr. Dan, guys like that, and they'll say, "Hey, can you watch my match, or did you watch my match? What's this and that?" And the thing about wrestling too is it's kind of hard to explain. Not really hard to explain, but it's like you can't be too like, oh, great job, man, everything was fine, but like because we have a saying we tell these kids in training now, because like after Johnny left, like myself and Dom and Alex Daniels have really taken over the role of like trainer for these kids. And one thing Daniels especially tells all the kids is that if we were here telling you that you were great, you would have no reason to come back. We're not going to tell you you're doing this fine. We're going to tell you what you're not doing fine. Because if we just keep telling you, oh, yeah, hey, man, great match, you're fine, don't worry about it, you're not going to get better as a professional. Right? Like, we have vets like come up to like Ethan Page will come up to us after a match. Tracy Williams will come up to us after a match. Josh Prohibition, like Eddie Kingston, all these veterans, Ray Rowe, will come up to us and they'll say, hey, great match, but this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to improve on. You should have did this instead of that, you know? And if you don't have that, you can't grow as a wrestler.
And it's just really just connecting the dots, you know,
Yeah.
saying, okay, you know, and then I'm sure eventually it's everything, you know, it makes sense. And then do you watch a lot of tape? Do you watch your matches back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like watching my matches because I'm so critical of myself. Like when I watched my match with Rex Brody back in October for Season of the Witch, I first watched it and I hated it. Not because of anything Rex did, as I was watching myself, going, "Oh, like Carson, what the hell were you thinking right there? You should have did this instead of that. Oh, come on, man! Like what? Like I don't believe you right now." But then like I'll watch it again, like okay, it wasn't that bad. I'll stop being so critical of myself. But I always try to watch my own matches. Like I watch my footwork, I watch my facials, I watch how I was, executing a certain move or not. But I mean, it's the only match that I like watching because I've gotten over the fact that I blew the sharpshooter. I don't care. Is my match with Johnny because like when I was I've gotten to work guys that are very much past my skill set at all. Johnny and Shane Douglas. Shane wasn't as technically sound as Johnny was at the time because he's just not the guy he was 20 years ago. But still, working with Shane was very, very educational because he just. He told me like before, he's like, we didn't really call anything. He just said we're gonna go out there and just listen to me, and he even said he's like, just listen to the crowd, and if they're loving something, keep doing it, and if they're not loving it, we're gonna go on to the next. That was like the first time where he showed up really late because he was a last-minute replacement. And I'm not saying he was being unprofessional or anything, but like it was a last-minute replacement. He got there like right before we were supposed to go in the ring. Like Thorne and Biggins have talked about this on the AEW podcast, but it was like we had nothing planned, we had nothing called, and I'm sweating bullets going, this is going to be the worst match of my career. People are going to boo us out of the building, and people absolutely loved it and ate it up, and it's one of my favorite matches to watch. So
it's got to be like comforting though that like if it's going to be kind of like a last-minute thing to know that you're going to be in there with someone like Shane Douglas, who, he's the epitome of, of that old-school breed. Like,
for sure.
He's, a lot of people, they'll know him from, ECW. Everything's going to be ECW, but you got to remember this dude has worked for the E. He's worked for WCW, so he's seen, like, all sides of the spectrum.
He's been everywhere, yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that he kind of gets a bad rap sometimes,
Well, he gets a bad rap from, like, a lot of people because of what he has to say about, like, Vince and Carter, even though she's not really involved with TNA anymore. Yeah. But, I mean, there are a lot of, like, Jim Cornette thinks like that, too. They're not about sports entertainment. They're about wrestling.
I will literally, like, if I see a new Jim Cornette shoot interview, I will sit down and watch this because he's entertaining as hell.
That's what this is, man. It's entertainment, and like Shane knows how to entertain people, and he knows how to wrestle. And now, even like with working with him now, I know that if I ever get thrown in that situation again, I know what to do.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to be in that situation again. I like,
course, yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that like. If something gets changed last minute, if we get told, okay, well, you don't have 10 minutes, you have 4 minutes, or if someone just shows up, Carson, you're not working him, you're working him instead. I know that we're going to be fine, or at least I'm going to be fine.
Got it. So, like, with the match with Johnny, that's one I kind of want to go back to, because I had a chance to be at that one, and that's when you go back to playing the heel role.
Yep.
That's where it's like, okay, it's student against teacher, and we do the injury spot.
Yep.
And it's like, I legit thought you were hurt.
Biggins, I think I don't know if he told the story on the podcast, but we had a new trainee called, his name was Kurt Hertz. He was at a couple of the UXWA events.
Okay.
he kind of just started training around this time, and when they're carrying me out to the rings, Biggins thinks it's real as well, and he's got 9-1 dialed on his phone, and he looks at Kurt and he says, "Kurt, is this real? Like, is this like did he just blow his knee out?" And Kurt, we didn't tell Kurt about it. He wasn't in on it, and he said yes. And Biggins had 911 dialed, and right before he hit send is when I sweep Johnny off the apron, and Biggins just flipped out on Kurt, like, "Kurt, you MFing."
Oh my God! So yeah, that's good. I mean, when you can pull one over on
the promoter.
I mean, then that's got to be good. Yeah. Have you? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Have you ever had like any injuries, or like if you have, what's the worst one you've had?
Oh, that's the worst one I have. Well, my shoulder popped out in the match 2 weeks after I wrestled Johnny at that scramble for Big Trouble in Little Cleveland. It was towards the end of the match, so that was if it had to happen somewhere, I wanted to happen at the end. I mean, I knew it happened right away, and I popped it back in. At our match at it's actually like a year ago this time at Fullest House, Kaplan blew out my right eardrum when he slapped me upside the head, like right in the beginning of the match. I was deaf basically until like the end of the match. Don Guarini blew my left one out in a match at Mega. That wasn't fun either, but I knew how to take care of a broken eardrum, so like this one's more healed than this side is.
Yeah, okay.
I sprained my MCL in the finals of the Back to the Future Cup. If you watch it, you can see right away when I do it, and it was a level 2 sprain. I thought I tore something, or because it was the pain was so. I didn't know there were certain levels to sprains, and I had there's 3 or 4 levels to a sprain, and mine was like number 2. It was like a grade 2, and I even told it like when I went to the hospital after the match. I'm expecting the guy to tell me, yeah, you blew your ACL out and your MCL and this and that. And he's like, oh, you just have a sprain. I'm like, a sprain, man? I was like, I can't walk on this thing. He's like, yeah, that's how bad a sprain can be. I broke a rib against Kaplan. It always happens when I wrestle Kaplan.
You guys have a history. I mean, you guys definitely do have that history together.
Yeah.
One of my favorite matches with you guys is the one, I believe it was No Sleep Till Brooklyn. AIW?
Yeah, that was our first match together. Our second match was 2 weeks later for UXWA, and then we wrestled again at Tequila Jack's March 5th.
Is he still doing the split leg moonsault?
And he did it, was it the November?
I cannot believe he could do that. It's
the
crazy.
November show against Big Mo at UXWA, he finally got over and hit it. Because he only did
all
it
the way.
Right.
Yeah.
He only did it with me, and every time he landed on my sternum. So but then then he did it against, and then I'm watching it from the back, and I'm going, oh my God, Mo's too far out. He's like, Kaplan's good. This is it. This is where Kaplan dies, and he just did it perfectly. And he came to the back, and Kaplan's like, well, I know how to do the moonsault now. They just have to be out farther. They don't have to be right under me. That's how I've been screwing it up.
So speaking of Kaplan, and I got to get him back on the show because that was a hell of an interview too. But I think this was like a few months ago, and I think Thorne put something online where I think you guys were at. Oh my God, I can't remember what bar everybody was at, but isn't Kaplan like the city drinking champion of the galaxy or something like that? What is this? Because I saw this, and it's like,
what's that bar called on the west side? Now that's Class.
Okay, I know. Okay,
they had fellow trainee Worldwide is a regular there, and he told Kaplan, Kaplan's drinking skills are notorious throughout the land, not just with the AIW people, but anyone who knows him. And Worldwide told Kaplan there was a 40-ounce of the man chugging competition.
Okay.
And he told Kaplan, he's like, you should. I think you'd be pretty good at this. You get a jacket if you win this and that. Okay. Kaplan shows up and finished the 40 in 1:45, under 2 minutes. He drank a 40. The guy who came in second finished at like 8 minutes. So Kaplan is done with the 40, and he's drinking another one while the first guy is not even done. Well, the guy who finished second isn't even done with the first one. So, man, he's just... And that's like a watered-down version of Kaplan. Like, if you guys would have known Kaplan 10, 11 years ago when I first met him and, like, when he was, like, in his prime of drinking, like, that minute 45 would have been, like, 37 seconds or something like that. I'm almost convinced.
So, with downing a 40 in a minute and a half, that he's lost the step. That's something, man.
That's scary is what that
he
is.
He can send good old Stone Cold for a run for his money there.
I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't.
Oh my god. Okay. So hey, It's WrestleMania season.
Yes, it is.
It's we've gotten through the Royal Rumble. We've gotten through, we got the Elimination Chamber. We got Fastlane. I kind of want to get your thoughts on. First of all, what do you think of the brand split?
I hate it.
You hate it. Why?
Because I understand creating competition, but I just remember that's when myself, Kaplan, a lot of other my friends that I know, we kind of fell off from wrestling a little, just like a little bit. I mean, I didn't stop watching or anything, but it was a cool concept, especially like when the invasion angle started, but they blew the invasion angle.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. Were you at that pay-per-view?
No, I was not. I was not at that pay-per-view. I remember watching it and being very upset, but no, I was not there. I don't know, man. Like, there's tag team titles on both shows. I know one show's got the United States title, the one show's got the Intercontinental title. We got 2 champions and everything. It's just, and I understand like when you like something like Survivor Series or whatever, like when like Team SmackDown against Team Raw. Like I understand that's a cool concept. Just for me, I just thought like, especially with the talent that they have now, I loved seeing all these guys on SmackDown, on Raw. I know they had to revamp SmackDown and give SmackDown a whole new makeover, but I just think they could have done that without and just kept one title and one show. And it could be the old school in me watching Coliseum home videos and just watching the old 4 pay-per-views a year and everything, but I understand it, but I just don't like it.
Well, that's how we were brought up. We were brought up with the big 4, big 5, if you count the King of the Ring, and you know what? Here's the thing. I can see both sides of the coin. Like I always thought there should be one world champion. There should be one. So it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do the brand split. And I'm like, okay, that would be good for some guys that maybe aren't getting a lot of TV time. But I'm like, if you remember back in 2002, they did the first brand split, and
they kept one title.
Yeah, kept it in one title. They just make it almost like territories.
And the champion was on both shows.
Yeah,
which was, I mean,
that makes more sense. If you do it like that,
I'm fine with it.
Exactly. So
it diminishes. I think in my mind, it diminishes both titles. Because it's just like, you're not the WWE champion, you're the SmackDown champion. You're not the Universal champion, you're the Raw champion.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like, this whole thing with Goldberg right now, it's like, oh, yeah, cool, Goldberg's back, blah, 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 whatever. He can't wrestle more than 2 minutes, but he's back, and everyone likes chanting his name and seeing a spear and a jackhammer. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh, he's the champion again. Like, he's the champion of a show.
Yes.
And I understand, like, he against Brock Lesnar for the title gives that match more prominence because after he squashed him at Survivor Series and then dumped him right away at the Rumble, why would you want to watch a third match between them? And it's like, well, you want to see a third match because it's for the Universal title. That's why.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, and for that aspect, yeah, I see that. It's kind of lame with having the multiple champions but whatnot. But first of all, were you a Goldberg fan?
In '98, I was.
So, what was your thoughts on Fastlane? Because I know a lot of people had their opinions on Fastlane.
Well, like other people, I called it. I knew exactly what was going to happen. Like, I mean, Kevin Owens just gets better and better every time I watch him. That whole stalling tactic thing, the way he played the crowd was great. Kevin's just, I've gotten to meet him a couple times too. He's just like the best, like one of the coolest dudes like ever.
He seems like a real family-oriented guy.
He is, and he spent his time on the Indies. He's made towns, and he's wrestled for nothing. He knows what it's like.
He's actually come out and said that other than PWG, AIW would be the only place he'd go back to.
He loved AIW, and we loved having him too. I got to meet him for Absolution 9, I think it was. That's when we first started training. So. Yeah, and then I knew Jericho was going to come out, and then boom, spear, jackhammer, whatever. Again, I get why they're doing it because they want Lesnar and Goldberg to close the show. And the title match has to close the show. I mean, unless you're The Rock and John Cena, but that was a special circumstance and everything.
Exactly.
I just think people have to look at the body of work that Kevin Owens did over the last 8 months as champion, which should. And I understand people have to realize when Goldberg took the title off the guy that was champion for 8 months, he didn't take it off someone who was a face, number one, but also someone who wasn't doing a good body of work. The fact that Kevin Owens was such a great heel champion and he had people chasing him for the last 8 months, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, all these other guys, and the fact that he kept, winning as a heel, and like if you don't win as a heel, you don't create that chase. And then finally, when someone does take you down and finally does take the title off you, it's supposed to make it that much cooler. And then Goldberg's from like our childhood and everything, the nostalgia factor, and he's the real life superhero and everything. But
but at the same time, like I don't want to see Hulk Hogan come out here and beat Seth Rollins. You know what I mean? So
I want to see the champion wrestle for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah,
call me old school, but that's just I don't know.
No, dude, because that's actually we did a recap show, and that's what we thought about. Because it's like, okay, you do the 2 spears and a jackhammer the first time for the shock factor, and you can dump them out in the Rumble because it's the Rumble. You can get away with that, but
you didn't beat them; you just eliminated them.
Yeah. So, but when you see like this, what was it, like 21 seconds or something like that, the match, it really makes me worry as a fan. Like, can this guy still go? I'm sure he can, but it's like, are they really protecting him? Because you only have to do the shock factor thing once.
Yeah, I mean, they had the Fastlane thing was to set up Jericho and Owens.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So in that regard, I can understand it. I'm just really curious about what they're going to do at WrestleMania. The only thing I can see,
it's going to be like 97 suplexes.
See that, I just see Lesnar doing the Goldberg, what he did at Survivor Series. Like, the match starts, and Goldberg goes for a spear, and he moves, and Lesnar just F5s him really quick, or a couple of Germans F5, 1, 2, 3.
That place will riot.
That's what I'm saying.
That whole city will riot, because we almost went down this year, and if you go down and you pay $1,200-$1,300 for the cheapest WrestleMania package,
yeah,
it's like, and that's what you see in the main event.
And hotel, and airfare,
and merch and food,
food, Uber, even.
Yeah.
Like you have to like detail this trip down to the very penny.
Yeah.
And if your main event is going to be 90 seconds, I don't mean. Unless every other card in that show blows you away, I mean, you're not going to walk away. I'm sure Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt is going to be a very good match.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the title match you're going to see. And, I'm sure Randy's going to go over, and I'm sure he's going to, like, pose with the title and everything, which is fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, unless Goldberg can go for 10, 15 minutes, which...
That's all it needs to be, really, if you think about it.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be. Couple of suplexes, couple of jackhammers, couple of spears, couple of kickouts, and that's all you need.
That's it. Yeah, that's totally it. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, that's something that like we as a show we were kind of concerned about. Like, well, what are we going to get at Mania?
I don't know. I really don't.
It just flips and flops,
Well, we'll see.
So, as we go into WrestleMania, as wrestling fans, we like to see what's going on in the world of professional wrestling outside of the WWE. A lot of speculation. This whole thing with TNA. I guess they're not TNA anymore. They're just Impact Wrestling.
They're Impact now.
We saw a lot of people leave. Some people that you and I, we both know. It's like, and you read the internet. You can only believe so much on the internet, but there's all this stuff.
It's on the internet. It's got to be right.
It's got to be, yes.
It's never wrong.
Absolutely not. If that's the case, then I don't know. I should be a millionaire by now. This whole thing with the Broken Hardys, and so they leave TNA. They go to Ring of Honor.
The Honorable Ring.
The Honorable Ring. Broken Matt, he's still doing the whole broken gimmick, and I guess now TNA's doing like a cease and desist type thing.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Like, it's just so weird, man. It's like, I mean, do you think, like, in my opinion, like, you're Brian Carson, excellence personified, whatever, nickname you want to give yourself, whatever nickname the people give you.
Right.
No company owns that. That's you.
Yes, and I mean, I understand, like, on the indies, it's a little different because, I mean, very few independent promotions are, like, incorporated. I don't know if any of them are, really. I don't even know if, like, Evolve or PWG are, but, TNA is a company, and, like, he came up, I understand, like, what they're saying, like, he came up with the character while he was employed with Impact Wrestling or whatever they're called now, but at the same time, it's like, it's his creative property, though. It's like, a writing staff didn't come up with that character. You know, like Dixie Carter did not come up with that character. Like anyone involved with creative did not come. This was Matt on his own. You know, he got Jeff to buy into it as well, and like they're the hottest act in wrestling right now. They've reinvented themselves after debuting. Oh man, what was it, like 99 or 98? They debuted.
Even before that, because they were doing the jobber matches with like Razor and all them, and like old school days.
I mean, like I understand TNA's like argument. They're trying to get as much money as possible, but I think, was it Matt's wife put something on Twitter or responded to something on Twitter to where if TNA realizes that if they get on like a DVD sale of like another company of like whatever event they work for that company, like TNA gets royalties for that.
Oh, dude. Well, if you go to their website, I mean, they're still selling AJ Styles stuff, Bobby Roode stuff, you know, Kurt Angle stuff. I mean, they're milking that, you know, and that's not. And I'm not saying anything bad about TNA. You know, we got people that we know that work.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about TNA at all. I'm not talking about the talent. No, they have a lot of great talent at TNA. Just I just like.
It's just so weird that that would be the case, like
Yeah, it's just kind of like I don't know, like I don't want to tell Jeff Jarrett to cut his losses, but I mean at the same time, like how far can you like go with that? You know, because I mean I understand like you want to own the character of Broken Matt Hardy, but like
he's not there anymore. So
he's not there anymore. So I mean, like I mean that's for lawyers to decide. I'm not a lawyer, but I mean if it was me, I understand because I am a performer and I am a worker. I can see Matt and Jeff's point of view. Like this is our names, this is our characters. We own it. You don't own it.
Exactly. No, I get that. Yeah, it's definitely it's a real hot topic in professional wrestling, especially just with Impact, kind of switching over, doing like hitting the old reset button or the reboot button, whatever you want to call it. I'm pumped for that. I'm a big fan of having multiple organizations, and you have like your mainstream, like you have your WWE, you have your Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground. I would say that in the same sentence as well. So I mean, I never want to see. You've heard all this talk for years. Impact Wrestling, TNA, they're gonna go out of business. I don't think that's the case. I like to see. I'm happy for the reboot.
Yeah, and believe me, I think WWE is as well, because if you the hottest that the business has ever been was during the Monday Night Wars.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because people were watching Nitro and then they were watching Raw and they wanted to see who was, and then like when they would bash each other on their TV, like people like seeing stuff like that, So I mean, like I'm not saying that like WWE and TNA is going to go at like a blood feud like they did with ECW or anything, but I mean just. Yeah, if you have healthy competition, it drives you to be, like Vince McMahon has said in interviews, like seeing them beat us in the ratings for a while drove us to be like, well, we got to start doing other things. We got to start being more edgy, more. We got to do something with Stone Cold. We got to do something with The Rock, with Mankind, with all these guys. So
with
I mean,
Blue Dust,
right? Yeah, God. It's better for the business if there's healthy competition amongst the promotions.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah.
So I hope they do. I mean, they got to get off Pop TV. They got to get onto like another like regular cable station. But I mean, if they can get a TV deal, like they don't have to go to USA or anything. But I mean, if they can get on like Spike again or just a channel like that where like the general public has access to it and they don't have to order the special channel package to get Pop TV or something or whatever. I think that would be a lot. I mean, I know they were supposed to try to get a deal with Netflix. I know like that fell through, but if they can get on like with Lucha Underground is like a streaming service.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be very beneficial for them because everybody streams everything nowadays.
I mean, you can even argue to throw it on YouTube because you have YouTube Red. You
do, yeah.
So you can watch it that way. I mean, there's a lot of ways because you're going to earn advertising revenue through all that stuff anyway.
Right.
So yeah, it's really interesting. Really.
Everyone's got an opinion about it. I mean, it's just as long like I don't want to see TNA go out of business. I don't want to see anyone go out of business.
No.
Just as long as there's healthy, like because right now, like they're not competition. They have some big names, but I mean, they're just. You look at WWE, you look at TNA, and it's not like WWE does not view them as competition.
Yeah, they're not competition, but they are an alternative, which is good for the wrestling fans.
So is Lucha Underground too. And
exactly,
they don't see Lucha Underground as a threat either.
Oh no, but I mean that's definitely something where as myself, I'm a fan. Obviously I try to I'll watch my Raw, my SmackDown, watch my NXT. sometimes there could be an oversaturation of one company.
Obviously there can be, because especially before, like even when TNA was in the early days and like 04 or 05 or whenever they came onto the scene, I mean WWE just, like you said, saturated the market. And people just you can look at the ratings, you can look at business, you can look at whatever, but they needed TNA to get guys, first of all, be born, number one, but get guys like Sting and have like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels put on these great matches every night, because people were turning over the spike going, you know what, these guys are pretty good too, I'm going to give these guys a shot. And then they got Kurt Angle, and then Hogan went there for a little bit, and then the Hardys and everything. So I mean, if TNA can stay relevant, I think it's just better for wrestling fans in general.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. When you name all those guys that have gone over to TNA back, about 10, 12 years ago, but then you think of like the homegrown TNA talent who has actually come to the WWE. Like you look at AJ, you look at Samoa Joe, you look at guys like even other guys off the indies like Claudio, freaking Seth Rollins, all those guys, right? And then you look at like NXT. You got Eric Young, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, Johnny and Tommaso. It's
Tommy Yen's there now. And,
Tommy Yen. Oh my God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Alistair Black. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I keep it's weird because they let him go by Tommy Yen on the UK show.
Yeah, I know.
So I got super confused right there. But yeah, it's good because it's like an even flow of people kind of going in and out. Getting new talent, revitalizing talent from other companies. I think that's a great thing. Speaking on NXT, and I want to, because I know this is going to be something that I'm sure is more personal to you, but when Johnny and Tommaso won the tag titles, like as him being your trainer, and I know how passionate you are about pro wrestling, like what was that feeling like watching it just as it happened? That was like the best match I've seen in a long time.
Okay. I was out, and I didn't watch it live. I was out somewhere. I wasn't wrestling, but I forgot. I had some family event, or not. I don't think it was a family event. Just somewhere I had to be. So I had to stay off social media the entire night. I'm like, I don't, and then I'm like, right. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm like, if a text message goes off, I have to have someone else read it to make sure it's not somebody telling me, "Oh my God, they just won." I was like,
I know, right?
The next morning, just to watch it, I stayed off social media. I made sure nobody texted me or nothing. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I watched the match. I'm not gonna lie. If I told you that I didn't tear up a little bit when that referee sang for the bell and I saw Johnny and Tommaso celebrating, it just made you feel, because I just remember when we started out at Turner's Hall and Johnny wasn't even on the radar of WWE. He was still. Yeah. I mean, he was working a lot of. I'm sure. Well, here, let me take that back. I'm sure he was on the radar because of how talented he is. But I mean, it was like he wasn't even with Candace at the time. He was just a dude from Cleveland, traveling every weekend.
Yeah, I remember watching him at freaking PWO. That's the first time I saw him.
Yeah, and he was, like I said, he was traveling a lot. He was, I think, right when we first started training, he had a trip to go to China, like right after we started training, and he was there for 2 weeks. Seeing him wrestle for like AAW and Beyond and Dragon Gate and PWG and all these things, it's cool. And then like this to see like the meteoric rise he's had, like ever since we started training, to like almost 3 years ago now in June. It's been that long. And the fact, he's got a great wife, Candace, who's also a great trainer. We've been blessed with that. He's made it to where he's always wanted to be, and he's been a champion in that promotion. I mean, like NXT is a part of WWE, so he's won a championship in WWE already.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And
just to see that, and then and plus I got to be in the ring with Tommaso and Johnny as well too. Like the fact I was in the ring with both of them, it's just. It was very, very like a feeling where I'm always going to remember how I felt when I watched Johnny and Tommaso win those titles.
Yeah, that was, and I think like any of us, I know it's going to be different for you as a performer, different for all the other performers, especially the ones who have trained with Johnny.
Right.
Maybe not even trained with Johnny, but has worked with Johnny and Tommaso, but like the fans, like the Cleveland-based fans.
Right, you've been watching them for the last 10 years, you
know?
Yeah,
you got that sense of pride when you see your guy win. And it's like, hey, and it's like, for me as a fan, it's like, hey, you know what? I talked to that dude a bunch of times, and he's super cool. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of like, it's like a cool thing, you know? It's So it's, I can't be any happier for the guy. I hear that they're going to be doing a women's tournament soon. Maybe we'll see Candice there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why she's not in NXT right now. I couldn't give you an answer. I mean, I've worked with her. I worked with Heidi. Definitely deserves to be there. I loved working with Heidi.
That is so cool.
I only got to work with her a couple of times, but she was just an absolute joy to work with. She's a great person as well. She's got a huge heart. She's very helpful. She's always been open to give us advice too and everything. And she's a bad chick, man. I remember when we wrestled with her, Dr. Dan gave her this spine buster, and I remember I was on the outside selling or something, but I heard it. And then I remember turning around and I just see Heidi sprawled out, and I'm thinking to myself, God, Dan, you just killed Heidi. What's the matter with you, man? Come on, this is your third match. You can't be doing that. And we got to the back, and I walked up to her. I said, Heidi, you all right? She's like, what are you talking about?
She sold it that well.
No, she's fine.
That's awesome.
But
I saw a match of her and Eddie that was just brutal. I can't remember what promotion it was, but
I think it was AAW.
Was it AAW?
I think
she went over.
Yeah, I think that was AAW because I don't ever think they wrestled for Battle of the Sexes, but
no,
Eddie's brutal in the ring. I can tell you from personal experience.
I'm afraid to talk to Eddie sometimes. So
I love working with Eddie too. Eddie's a great guy.
Yeah, so I'm very happy for Heidi as well. So
yeah, and again, hopefully, I hope Candice will be there because she's just I've gotten to train with her, I've gotten to wrestle with her a couple of times. She's a female. Like I've said this a million times, she's female Johnny. They are in the wrestling sense, they are perfect for each other.
There you go. Maybe we'll get a mixed tag team champions. I don't know.
Hey, we can only hope.
We have a. You never know. World of Professional
Don't tell
Wrestling.
Jim Cornette that though. He won't like that.
I know, right? you're killing the business.
God damn.
So, as wrestling fans, as nerds, as geeks, us who like to listen to the show and whatnot, one thing we like is video games.
Oh yeah,
you gotta love video games. You a gamer? Or were you a gamer?
Oh, I'm still a gamer. I mean, not as much that I was because of traveling all the time and everything.
Yeah.
And now, nowadays, if I do get a chance to sit down and play my favorite game, I don't want to go online and get pissed off and everything. I just want to throw it on there and just do a story mode in Call of Duty or something, and just
I will tell you, my wife, bless her heart, she is right before we got married. She got me an Xbox, and she got me Call of Duty and the headset, and so she's like, you can play online, right? So I'm playing this Call of Duty. I'm doing the campaign. First of all, I suck at those games. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. So I'm like, let me go online. So I go online, and of course I'm terrible. And
right.
I got the headset on, and I do the move, the dreaded. I threw a grenade, and it bounced off the wall and it kills everybody. And I hear this little kid from probably
the other
Calcutta
side of the world,
telling me that I suck and he banged my mom. So it's what?
It's I get that stuff and everything, but especially for me, I have very few chances to sit down and just relax now because of how hectic, right? So I don't want to go online and have some 12-year-old kid say just banged my mom. I don't need that. I'm just gonna throw on the story mode of the campaign and just do that.
As a grown man, I felt sad.
If I had this when I was a kid and my mother or my father heard me say that, that'd be the last time I would have played one of those things,
It's so funny, but so what am I'm getting off the gaming? Jesus, I was just talking about it.
Damn internet, man.
I know, right? We love we love professional wrestling. We love gaming. Were you a No Mercy guy? Or are you the 2K, the current stuff?
I was brought up on N64 and all that. So Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, those are my two old school favorite games. No Mercy was fine too. What was the one for PS2 that I absolutely loved?
Was it a WCW one?
No, it was.
They didn't have none for PS2.
Yeah. Just Bring It for PS2.
Okay.
That was my favorite game for a long time.
Was it the one with Fred Durst? You play as Fred Durst?
I think that was the first generation PlayStation. Yeah. Here Comes the Pain was all right. I mean, because that was the first game that had Hogan back in it and everything. So that was cool. You get to F5 Hulk Hogan and all this stuff. But I love the 2K games. If you're a wrestling fan and a gamer, how do you not like those games?
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
graphics are incredible. They finally stacked the roster, so like you can play as like The Rock versus Macho Man Randy Savage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and plus, just like the gameplay is incredible.
It's a good simulation. It's really
not,
what it is.
It's not overcomplicated, but it's not just like simple. You can't just like go in there and press buttons and do moves. You got to like hit certain moves, hit buttons at certain times and stuff like that. So, give me a wrestling game and I'm going to play it.
So
seriously.
So have you? And we would like to ask this to our guests, especially the gamers. Have you? I know I have. I know my co-hosts have. Have you ever created yourself?
Oh yeah.
Who is your guy? Like let's go back. Get in the time machine.
Let's see.
What was your gimmick? What did you do like a triple moonsault and whatever? Like what did you do?
I didn't start making like Brian Carson, the character, until like I think when I decided that I was going to start pursuing wrestling. So like 2009, 2010 is like the first time I made like Brian Carson, because that's when like the 2K games like really started coming out. And
yeah, they were pretty good.
Back in the day though, I like for WrestleMania 2000, I'd have like 10 or 12 guys I would create with different gimmicks. I had a guy called Redwood. Because he was 7'5", 500 pounds. He was as tall as a redwood, and he did choke slams and jackknifes and everything like that. I had another guy called Hot Shot. He was kind of like a mix between Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect. I remember.
It.
Oh God, who's another guy I did? Oh. I think because around the time my PS2 was broken, and Hogan had just came back, and he was doing the whole Mr. America gimmick. So I made like an ultimate patriot character or something like that. I would have to like find my WrestleMania 2000 game and turn it on and like look down by the entire roster I created. But like I had a wild imagination as a kid, so there was a lot of characters. But Brian Carson did not get created until like 2009, 2010.
Oh man, okay. We're actually going to be doing a video episode. We're going to bring the 64 up here, and we're going to try to do it on YouTube.
Oh man,
make our characters, and
there you go.
It's going to be a blasty.
There you go. So, we actually had a No Mercy tournament at Johnny's bachelor party.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw the pictures. Yeah. That's. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. That's the game. If you're a wrestling fan, or even if you're just getting into it.
Bobby Beverly is very good at that game.
Really?
He's really good at that game.
I remember at Wrestling Geek Fest, Eddie Kingston would not step away from that TV.
Nope.
Like he was like intense. Like I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk to him.
Right, exactly.
Now.
Like everyone's like, man, let's leave Eddie alone, man. He's in the zone right now.
Yeah, like he's like sweating and everything. I'm like, all right. I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to you later, dude. So yeah, that's you heard it first from our guest today.
There we go.
All right. So let's do before we wrap it up, we're gonna do some word association.
Let's do it.
And then do some plugs and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna just name a couple things off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3. Jeff Jarrett. JEFFJARRETT. Or
Bruce Pritchard, like to spend my days working.
Oh,
I know all that. There you go.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Slap nuts.
Oh, slap nuts. There you go. Yeah. Favorite match type.
Oh man. See, I'm a guy that can just like. What was I watching the other night? Like Benoit and Angle from like one of the Royal Rumble. I think Royal Rumble 2002 or something, or 2000, something like that. I can watch that. I loved Attitude Era hardcore matches. Like I just, I mean,
it's like cookie sheets and stop signs and stuff like that.
One of my favorite WrestleMania matches is Edge and Foley at 23.
Okay.
Absolutely love that match. Favorite match type, if I had to pick one, just like an Iron Man match, something like that.
Iron Man match.
Give me something like that.
Just because there's so much you can do in an hour.
Yes.
So
I would love to actually be put in that kind of scenario. See what I can like to challenge yourself as a performer. Hardcore match, I know I can probably do very simply. It's just like hit me with whatever inanimate object you have. But something like that where there's like a time limit and you have to go 30 minutes or you have to go an hour, I think would challenge me as a performer.
Would you do a hardcore match with Kaplan?
Yeah. I mean, I basically have already.
You guys did the.
We've hit each other with objects before, so I'm like, now I just get to do it in front of a fan base.
There you go, nice. I had something I was gonna say. So this is the bad thing about word association, as I completely get thrown off there. So we were saying match type. Oh, okay. So I want to go favorite wrestler as a child, favorite current wrestler that is not somebody that you work with.
Okay, Bret Hart.
Okay.
As a kid. Oh, man, right now that I don't work with. I can't say Johnny because I've worked with him.
Like, who's someone you're like, oh, man, I'd love to work with that dude?
Oh, Chris Jericho. Jericho, I can go on. Jericho, Owens, Rollins. I want to wrestle Roman Reigns. I think I can have a very good match with Roman Reigns.
Do you think he gets a bad rap, too?
Yes.
I think
he's
so, too.
very underrated. In my opinion, and this is an opinion of a lot of other people, too, I think he's just booked wrong.
Yeah, he's got to do. I think he should go heel.
I think he should go heel. I mean,
with Taker, that's a perfect opportunity.
If you watch Raw, and you think that he's going to get cheered out of that building if he goes over on Taker, I get him going over on Taker in a sense, but the fact is how he has been booked, I don't get it. You can't have him go over on him. That's just me. I mean, I don't write for creative for WWE, but yeah.
I got you. I think that's the general consensus. Is like,
and of course, Undertaker too. I would. Man, would I love to have a match
who
with
wouldn't
Undertaker?
want
Exactly.
to?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not even a wrestler. I'm like, yeah, dude, chokeslam me, just because.
Just do it. I mean, Tom Dunn chokeslammed me, so I mean, I know I can take.
I did see something like that. Yeah. Okay. Oh man.
Oh, wrestling.
I know, right? the only place where the referees can kick your ass.
Oh, I love it.
All right. So you're going to be at UXWA next Saturday. What else you got coming up?
I got Mega Championship Wrestling on March 25th.
We'll be there.
Something, but yes,
That'll be fun.
Got Gauntlet for the Gold coming up for AIW. What else we got? There's a show. NWA Midwest will be back there in April.
Okay.
In whatever AIW has coming up in April. The next episode with Joey Janela, like Joey Janela is on the cover. The next episode. Mega also has a show in April. May, I know I have a. I mean, I like, you know, Thorne sends us the ring schedule and everything, so like, whatever's on there. But for right now, UXWA this Saturday. We got Gauntlet for the Gold, AIW. We got Mo Money, Mo Problems for Mega. And then whenever stuff keeps popping up, you know, Brian Carson's going to be there.
There you go. Where can we find you on social media?
On Twitter at BeTheExcellence, all one word. Instagram is The Brian Carson. Facebook's Brian Carson. Like I said, nothing's private. Just give me an ad. I'll give you an ad back, and we can talk other stuff than wrestling. You know, like, you know, when I'm not on the clock, as I like to say, book somewhere, I'll talk movies, sports, just no politics, no religion, because I don't feel like getting crucified on the internet.
There you go. No, hey, I don't blame you.
No pun intended with that religion thing either.
We'll have to bring you back on one day. We'll talk just nothing but movies and super geeky stuff.
Hey, man, that's what I mean. We're all nerds. We're all geeks. We're all marks. That's why we love wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be looked at normally if you just explain professional wrestling in a nutshell to somebody who has no idea what it is. You'd say, you know what? I watch giant ripped dudes in their underwear
in spandex and in
beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly, and they're like, "Why the hell would you do that?"
It's like, yeah, you have to be a certain level of crazy or nerdy to love this.
It's got. I always, because, like, you know, Daniels tried telling the story about how he didn't start watching wrestling until he was like 15 or 16 years old, and I always told him, like, you know. Well, I know. Actually, I believe it because, like, you know, because like Daniels is like that much of a straight shooter.
Okay,
but
all
I
right.
also think I said, like, no, man, like, there's been something instilled in you since birth, because, like, someone who is now, especially that's in the business, you had to have been exposed to something like that early on in your life. I'm not saying, like, you probably did start watching wrestling when you were 16, but what I'm saying is that you've had, like, the wrestling, I guess, geek in you this whole time, and it would just, you know, it stayed dormant in your system, and something finally just, you know, woke it up in a way. Like, you've had, like, I know so many my friends, my family that are wrestling fans or whoever I've met, and everyone can say, the truly passionate ones will always tell you, I started watching this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're
it's been instilled in us since birth.
You're the kid wearing the NWO shirt,
right.
even when it's not cool to wear the NWO shirt to school. So, all right.
Everyone got in trouble for doing the suck it in elementary school.
I know. I got in trouble because I accidentally taught my 9-year-old nephew how to do it. So, yeah.
See, we're starting them young.
Yes, exactly. So they'll be just fine when they're grown up.
Exactly.
All right, guys. As always, you can check us out at hardcoregeekcast.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter at no, that's the old one, at HC Geekcast. We also will be at Mega Championship Wrestling Live doing a show on March 25th. You want to go there, go to MegaChampionshipWrestling.com, get yourself some tickets. Come by, give us a high five, say what's up. Maybe we'll interview you. Maybe we'll let you talk into the
Be on the
microphone.
show, man.
Yeah. Check out Brian Carson. Check out UXWA. Where can we get tickets at UXWA?
UXWA, go to their Facebook page, and they have a link where you can buy tickets. And also, tickets are always available at the door.
Absolutely. And then AIWRestling.com.
Yep.
I mean, everywhere.
Mega's the same way. You can go to Mega's Facebook page, and there's a link where you can buy tickets as well.
Get some tickets. Come out. It's a lot of fun. It's fun for the whole family. So
it's entertainment, guys. Come on. That's what we're doing here.
That's right. All right, guys, for myself, for Mr. Brian Carson, and for everybody here at Hardcore Week, we want to say thank you for listening. We'll see you this Wednesday night on our normal night. Same geek time, same geek channel. Later.
Peace.